In this video, I'm going to discuss Cisco VIRL version 2.0. This is the newest version of Cisco VIRL, which should hopefully be released in April 2020. I spoke with Ralph and Simon, core developers of Cisco VIRL, at Cisco Live 2019. I've linked that video here and below if you're interested in seeing details of Cisco VIRL 2.0. In this video, however, I'm going to show you how to download and install Cisco VIRL, how to get it up initially and build a basic topology. The Cisco VIRL team have really simplified the process. Rather than you having to install a thick client and a virtual machine and do a whole bunch of other things to get it working, the installation is very, very simple. Okay, so let's get started. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get Cisco VIRL 2.0 up and running on a Windows 10 computer. To get that working, you need virtualization software. Currently, the only virtualization software supported is VMware Workstation Pro or VMware Workstation Player. VMware Workstation Player is free software that you can download from vmware.com, or you can get the paid version of VMware Workstation Pro. But I'm going to show you how to get this up and running without paying for VMware Workstation Pro. We're going to use Player, which is free software. There is no thick client anymore. All you need to download is the OVA from VIRL, as well as an ISO that contains all the images. So the huge advantage with Cisco VIRL over other products such as GNS3 or EVE-NG is you get all the Cisco images such as iOS V, iOS V Layer 2, ASA V, you get Nexus V, you get a whole bunch of Cisco images as part of your download. So you download a separate ISO that has all the images. You get an OVA, which runs the core VIRL product. You get an ISO. You map that ISO to your virtual machine that you import using the OVA, and you get access to all the images that you require. You can also add your own images. You can download updated images and use that with Cisco VIRL. So one of the advantages of using Cisco VIRL over other products is you get all the images. The installation is also a lot simpler than EVE-NG and even GNS3. Installation is very, very simple. It's much easier to get pre-built images up and running with Cisco VIRL. So if you're new to virtualization technologies, if you're new to Cisco images such as iOS V Layer 2, I'd recommend that you get Cisco VIRL. It makes life a lot easier. Now, there are some disadvantages to using Cisco VIRL. You have to pay a license fee of about $200 a year. But you need to pay that license fee even if you wanted to use Cisco images in other virtualization technologies such as GNS3 or EVE-NG. You need to be legally compliant. This is actually the only non-gray area, totally legal way of running Cisco images, because you're getting a Cisco official product with Cisco official support. So Cisco VIRL is probably the best product to use today if you want to run Cisco images and you want to make sure that you're on the right side of the law. So there are no gray areas. This is an official product from Cisco, and you get all the images as part of your subscription service. Another disadvantage of Cisco VIRL is it's limited to 20 devices. You can't run more than 20 devices in your topology. However, for a lot of us, that's more than enough. But if you're studying for your CCIE or you're trying to replicate a large topology, you will be limited to running only 20 devices in your topology. If you want to run really large scale networks, you need to get a separate product from Cisco. You could also try running Cisco images in GNS3 and EVE-NG, but just be aware that you're running into a gray area legally if you use those products. You cannot use a VirtualBox with Cisco VIRL. I'm recording this video in March 2020. The new release should be available in April 2020. So I've got a pre-release version of Cisco VIRL here that I'm going to demonstrate. Please refer to the documentation for the latest information. I'll also be creating updated videos if things do change, but currently you can only use VMware products such as VMware Workstation Pro or VMware Workstation Player. You cannot use VirtualBox. if you want to run Cisco VIRL. However, VMware Workstation Player is free software that you can download from VMware's website. So simply go to vmware.com, go to Downloads, go to Free Product Downloads, and select Workstation Player. At the time of this recording, the current release is 15.5. So click Download Now to download this version of VMware Workstation Player. Current release is once again 15.5.2 and this sub-release ending in 246. So I'm going to click Save to save that to my local hard drive. Size is 138 meg. So just be aware of the size. It's 138 meg in size. Okay, so my VMware Player has downloaded. All I need to do is double click on the executable to start the installation. Windows warns me that I downloaded this from the internet. I'm going to click Install Anyway. And as you can see, VMware Player is now installing. The installation is really simple. I'm basically just going to use the defaults when installing VMware Workstation Player. Okay, so the installation wizard displays. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to accept the license agreement. Make sure that you agree to the license agreement. So just that you're aware, VMware Workstation Player is free for non-commercial use. If you want to use a commercial product, you need to buy VMware Workstation Pro, but Play is free for studying, as an example. So I'm assuming that's what most of us are going to be using Cisco VIRL for, is for building labs and studying. So this product is great if you want to simply study for your CCNA, CCNP, or CCIE. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to leave the installation folder at defaults, click Next. I'm not going to join the VMware Custom Experience Improvement Program. I'm going to click Next. I'm going to keep the default shortcuts, click Next. Now, just before I click Install, I'm going to open Control Panel, and I want you to see that under Network and Internet, Network and Sharing Center, change adapter settings, that I don't have a VMware Workstation Player network interface card, but I do have a VirtualBox network interface card. And that's because I previously installed VirtualBox on this computer. Now, when I click Install, what you'll notice is VMware Workstation Player will create a network interface. That is normal behavior. So it's expected that VMware Workstation Player creates a specific network adapter for the application. That is once again default behavior. You can see here that it's installing virtual network drivers, and you can see in Control Panel that 2 VMware virtual Ethernet adapters have been created. So there you go. I've now installed VMware Workstation Player. I'm going to click Finish. So software is now installed. I can double click on the desktop icon. Product has now started. Notice we told that it's for non-commercial use only. You might get a pop-up that you have to agree to when you first start the software. You can see here that I've got Kali Linux and EVE-NG Pro as virtual machines on this computer ready, but that's not the virtual machine that we want to start. What we want to do is download Cisco VIRL. So I'm going to go to virl.cisco.com to download Cisco VIRL. Now you do need an account to download the software. So I'm going to click Get VIRL. And notice you can see the price, $199 per year at the time of this recording. That gives you 20 nodes. Again, you are limited to 20 nodes in your topologies, $200 a year. Now, in my example, I already have an account, so I'm going to click Login. I'm going to put in my username, click Next. Put in my password, click Sign In, and I'm going to go to my account. My current VIRL account is still active, so I'm going to click Download VIRL. Now this site can be slow, so you may need to wait for the page to refresh. As I mentioned previously, I'm recording this video before Cisco VIRL 2.0 has been officially released. So when I click on the downloads, I don't see version 2 Cisco VIRL downloads. I only see previous releases of Cisco VIRL. So as an example here, I can see version 1.665. If I click on 1 over here, I can see different releases of Cisco VIRL, and I can download various IOS images, such as iOS V Layer 2. Now, typically in the past, you would have to download an OVA for Cisco VIRL or an ISO to do a bare metal installation. And the installation was quite complicated. In this video, which I've linked here and below, I show you how to install the current release of Cisco VIRL, in other words, version 1.x. But now I'm going to show you how to install version 2. So hopefully, depending on when you're watching this video, you'll see version 2 downloads on this page, and you'll be able to download Cisco VIRL version 2. Now, be aware, big warning, the download files are large. You have an OVA image. That's the actual Cisco VIRL image. It's only 700 meg, but this ISO that contains the various images is 6.3 gig at the time of this recording. So this OVA is the OVA that you need to download and open in VMware Workstation Player. Then you need to map the ISO in your virtual machine so that you can import the images. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. I'm going to go to Player, File, Open. Go to my downloads and select the OVA. So I'm simply opening this OVA in VMware Workstation Player. So I'm going to click Open. I'm going to leave everything at defaults wherever possible. So I'm going to click Import. So VMware Workstation Player is now importing that OVA, and as soon as it's imported, I should be able to boot up Cisco VIRL. In other words, the installation is very, very simple. But before you boot it up, make sure that you right-click and go to Settings. Now, by default, Cisco VIRL is configured to use 8 gig of RAM. That means that your computer needs to support 8 gigs of RAM. If it doesn't, you need to lower the amount of RAM that VIRL uses, but it's recommended that you use 8 gig of RAM. That's not possible on my computer. My computer only has 8 gig of RAM. So I'm going to lower this to 4096, so 4 gig of RAM. Be careful lowering the amount of RAM. Now, as always, if you lower the RAM and lower the amount of CPUs that a virtual machine can use, it means you can't build as large topologies as you could if you allocate more RAM and more CPU to the virtual machine. Now, this is very important. Intel VTX or AMD-V needs to be enabled, and we're going to virtualize CPU performance counters. Now, because I get this question all the time, I'm going to show you now, as part of this video, how to enable VTX in the BIOS of an Intel computer as well as an AMD computer. If you already have VTX enabled on your computer, then skip to this timestamp in this video. So for those of you who don't know how to enable VTX, I'm going to show you that now. If you do know how to do that and you've already got it enabled, then jump to this point in the video. I'm going to try and boot up this Kali Linux host, and I get this error. Error while powering on. The host supports Intel VTX, but Intel VTX is disabled. Intel VTX might be disabled if it has been disabled in the BIOS firmware settings, or your host has not been power cycled since you changed the setting. We're then told how to fix this issue, but rather than just trying to read this, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, that's an example on an Intel CPU. Let's have a look at AMD. So here's another laptop. This example is running Windows 8 on an AMD processor. Similar kind of issue exists. I'll start up a VirtualBox, and I'll try and boot up the Kali Linux host. Notice I get the same issue, failed to open a session for the virtual machine. Here we're told that AMD-V is disabled in the BIOS or by the host operating system. So once again, in this example, I'm not able to boot up Kali Linux because AMD-V has been disabled in the BIOS of the laptop. Now in this example, I've got an Asus laptop, it's got an Intel CPU, and I've got an HP laptop that's got an AMD CPU. The process that you follow will vary depending on the manufacturer. So on Asus as an example, I need to reboot the laptop and press F2 to go into the BIOS settings. On HP, I need to use F10 to go into the BIOS settings. So refer to the documentation for your manufacturer to determine which key you need to use to get into the BIOS. Or just use Google to do a search to find out which key to use to get into the BIOS for your specific laptop or computer. So I'll now show you how to enable VTX on a laptop that has an Intel processor as well as a laptop that has an AMD processor. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is shut the laptop down. So I'm going to click power, shut down to shut the computer down. Laptop has been shut down. Now because this is an Asus laptop, I need to press power and F2. So F2 will take me to the BIOS. And as you can see, I'm now in the BIOS of the computer. So they tell you which keystrokes to use. So as an example, right arrow will take me from one menu to the other. So I've gone from the main menu to advanced. And what I want to enable is Intel virtualization technology. At the moment, it's disabled. So I want to select that option, once again using the arrow keys. Go to Intel virtualization technology, press enter, and then specify enabled. So what I'm going to do now is use the right arrow key, go to save and exit, make sure that I've selected save and exit, press enter, and then press enter again to save the configuration and exit. Laptop is now rebooted. And now I can enter my PIN and log in. And there you go. I've logged into the laptop. What I'm going to do now is start VirtualBox. Select Kali Linux and then go to Start to start it up. And what you'll notice now is the virtual machine can boot up successfully. So there you go. Kali is booting. And I can now log in. Default username is Kali, password is Kali once again. And I've successfully logged into this virtual machine that's running on a Windows computer within the VirtualBox. Same thing will happen with VMware Workstation. Select the virtual machine, power it on, and I can once again boot up the virtual machine. I can log in. Default username, Kali, and I'm able to log in to this Kali virtual machine running within VMware Workstation Player on an Intel laptop. Okay, so I'll do something similar on this computer with an AMD processor. Go to the Start menu, I'll select Power Options, and I'll select Shutdown to shut down the computer. Computer is now shutting down. Okay, this is a HP laptop, so I need to use F10. So I'll start the laptop, press F10. Okay, so something similar needs to be done here. I'm going to go to System Configuration, Virtualization Technology. So virtualization technology is currently disabled. What I need to do is press enter, select enabled, press enter, and then I need to exit. So save my configuration and exit. Press enter to save the changes. The laptop is now rebooted. We can see that the HP laptop is booting up. This is an older laptop, so it's quite slow. Okay, I need to put my password in, press enter to log in. I've now successfully logged in. Okay, so I can start a VirtualBox. I'll select my Kali Linux host, and then I'll press start to start it up. As you can see, it's now booting up. I can select CML-E Linux. I'll press enter. We can see that the virtual machine is booting. Once again, this is a slow laptop, so it's taking its time to boot up. But there you go, after a while, it booted. I can log in with my username of Kelly, password of Kelly, and I've successfully logged into this virtual machine, which is running within a VirtualBox on a computer with an AMD processor. Okay, so VTX is enabled in the BIOS. I've enabled it here in the virtual machine. What I do need to do now, which is very important, is connect an ISO image. So I'm going to browse to my downloads directory, and I'm going to select this ISO image. So just to remind you once again, the OVA image is the virtual machine that we've imported, but the Cisco images that are required to run Cisco routers and switches are part of that ISO. So I need to add that to the virtual machine. I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click Start to boot up Cisco VIRL. Okay, so I'm told, do I want to download and install the following software tools? I want to do that. So VMware tools for Linux. I want to get those downloaded and installed. My internet connection here in South Africa is a bit slow, so it's taking a bit of time to download. Now, as always, speeds vary depending where you are in the world. But as you can see here, the VMware tools are being downloaded and extracted. VMware is now being updated. Okay, so updates are finished. I'm going to click Close. And notice we now have a virtual machine running VIRL 2. I'm going to click in the virtual machine and press Enter to continue. I have to agree to the license agreement. Use Tab to jump from one menu option to another. So I'm going to accept the end user license agreement by pressing Enter. Now we're told, welcome to VIRL 2 first deployment configuration. Before the system can be used, we need to set up 2 user accounts. You need a privileged Linux system user account and the first admin controller user account. After this, the admin controller user can be used to log into the web UI via HTTPS on TCP port 443. Okay, so basically we need a user account for the CLI and one for the GUI. I'm going to press Enter to continue. We're given some information about how to navigate. So cursor keys, Control-P, Control-N can be used to navigate. You can press Tab. You can use Tab to switch between input fields and buttons, spacebar to select items. I'm going to simply press Enter to continue. Okay, so I'm going to use the default usernames that VIRL gives me. I'm going to simply set my password to Cisco. Probably not a great password, but there you go. Now what I'm going to do is use Windows key and print screen to save a screenshot of what I've done so that I can remember the username that I created. You don't have to do that obviously, but that makes it easier for me. Press Tab, press Enter to continue. Now I'm told my password must be 8 characters. So Cisco 123, Cisco 123. Press continue. Now we're told that the password is quite bad. Do I want to continue anyway? Yes, I do. So I'm going to press Tab and press Enter to continue. Told that my password isn't strong. Do I want to continue? That's fine for my example. This is only a lab and a demonstration, so I'm not too concerned about the passwords. Obviously, you will want to use good passwords, not like I'm doing here. Okay, so we now need to create a second user. This is the admin user, which is used to log into the web UI. I'm going to set the password to Cisco 123 for this user. And then I'm going to take a screenshot. So once again, on my screenshots, I can see the username used for the web UI and also the user used for the Linux system. Press Tab, press Enter to continue. I'm told once again that my password isn't good. I'm okay with that. Password isn't strong. I'm okay with that. Say yes to continue. Now, you can use either a static IP address or DHCP for your VIRL server. We're told here that it's optional to use a static IP address. It's typically okay to use DHCP. Only change this when a static IP address is actually required. So I'm going to simply use DHCP in this example and press enter to continue. A summary is displayed. So I'll take a screenshot of this page as well. So I've got my summary information. Okay, press enter to confirm. So that's basically all you need to do to set up Cisco VIRL. The developers have really made this simple compared to the previous releases of Cisco VIRL. There's one more thing that I have to do, and that's license the VIRL server. But I'll do that through the web interface once the server has completed the installation. Now, this isn't a very quick laptop, but there you go. Installation has completed. I can wait for the countdown or just press enter to reboot the server. And there you go. It's done. I could log in to the CLI. I don't want to do that. I want to log into the GUI, and I'm told the IP address to use, which is 192.168.255.1. Okay, so I'm surprised by this IP address, 192.168.255.1. My local subnet is 10.0.0.0, so that IP address doesn't look right. So let's see firstly if I can ping that IP address, 192.168.255.1. At the moment, I can't ping that IP address. So let's log in. My user account was sysadmin. Password was Cisco123. I'll use IP address to see the address. We can see the IP address here is 192.168.255.1. But what I'm going to do is shut down the server. So shut down -H now to shut down the server, because I want to see what VMware did with the network interface card. So in VMware Workstation Player, I'll right-click on the virtual machine, go to Settings, go to Network Adapter. It says bridged here, which is correct, but I'm going to click Configure Adapters. And here's a problem. For some reason, we've got a VirtualBox host-only Ethernet adapter. You shouldn't have that problem. This has affected me because I'm running VirtualBox as well. So I'm going to only use my Realtek wireless network adapter and click OK. And click OK again. Now, just to explain this, I want to bridge this virtual machine to my local network so that I can access the virtual machine from the outside. So rather than using NAT or host only, I want to be able to bridge VIRL to external devices. So I want to use bridged, but I want to make sure that I'm only bridged to my wireless network adapter in this example. So let's start up VIRL again, and let's see if that works better this time. So it's starting up. It's going to boot up CentOS Linux. I like to do demonstrations where I encounter problems so that you can see the problems that I encounter. And perhaps if you also encounter these problems, you can fix them. Okay, so that's a lot better. That's an IP address in my local subnet. I'm connected to a home internet router here, and it's allocating IP addresses in the 10.0.0.0 subnet. So that looks a lot better. That's an IP address that I would expect. So I'm going to open up a web browser, and I'm going to use HTTPS, and I'm going to browse to 10.0.0.168. Okay, so we're told the connection is not private. That's great. It's using self-signed certificate. I'm going to proceed to the VIRL interface, and there you go. I can log in now as my admin user. Once again, going to my screenshots, the admin user is the user to use to log into the web UI. Sysadmin is for Linux. So I'm going to use admin, password of Cisco123, click login, and there you go. I've got Cisco VIRL up and running. Now, something I need to do is edit the licensing settings. I need to register my license, but there's nothing stopping me going to Lab Manager and adding a lab. And what I can do now is drag Cisco devices into my topology. I can zoom in, so there's 2 switches as an example. In my topology, I can move them around. I can drag a router into my topology. When I hover my mouse over the device, this little pop-up displays, and I can click on the connection and drag that to the other device, and then decide which interface to connect. So I'm going to connect Gigabit Ethernet 00 on the router to Ethernet 00 on the switch. Do the same thing here, drag a connection, connect Gigabit Ethernet 01 to Gigabit Ethernet 00 on the switch. And let's say drag another router into the topology, move that around. Click here, drag it to the router, so second Ethernet interface of the switch to the first Ethernet interface of the router. Now, if I try and start up this topology by clicking on Simulate, Start Lab, notice I get an error message, System Not Licensed. You have to license your system before you can start using it.